Just when you thought summer was over, wrong. Meet American Girl Summer McKinney, American Girl of the Year 2025. We have themes of animal rescue, entrepreneurship, and something about dogs getting baked. Do I have a shopping addiction? Maybe. Did I buy this doll within 5 minutes of getting released this morning? You can't prove that. Do I have strong opinions on a doll that I've been waiting for all year? Nope. Thanks for watching today's video. Be sure to smash that like button. What was that? All right, for real, we're going to do a deep dive on the good, the bad, and the fugly of American Girl of the Year 2025, Summer McKinney. I did, in fact, buy Summer McKinney, the doll, and a couple of other things from her collection, and I'm actually really excited about them, but there have been a lot of changes in the Girl of the Year line and American Girl in general, so today I want to do a really deep dive into Summer the doll and her entire collection that was released today, and we're just going to chill out, hang out, and talk about dolls. So grab some empty calories for you and your furry friend, because this is another test pilot episode of my upcoming podcast that I promise is launching this year, but not quite yet. All right, I don't know how to end this intro, so let's go. So the Girl of the Year is the biggest and most anticipated release that American Girl does every year. I know we get some exciting things outside of the Girl of the Year line, but it really has kind of become a tradition for not only doll collectors. I say not only doll collectors, like we're the primary focus, spoiler alert or not, but every little kid that loves dolls gets really, really excited about the announcement of the new Girl of the Year for American Girl. And there have been a ton of changes over the last few years with that line, and I have strong opinions about some of them. So yeah, like I said, I just wanted to do a deep dive podcasty episode about it today because I had planned to go get the doll in person at our local store in Charlotte, but unfortunately they moved the release date, or at least my perception of it. I thought she was coming out on Saturday the 14th, and we were trying to plan a trip around being able to go pick the doll up in person and get her on the first day. But then they announced that she's actually getting released today, which is the 12th of September, 2 days early, and that kind of threw me off. So unfortunately, I didn't get to go get her in person as much as I wanted to. So she should be here next week. I think I was one of the first 500 people to purchase her because I was looking at stock levels on the shop this morning. And if you're curious, in the shop on AmericanGirl.com, they had 13,000 summer dolls available. And by the time I had purchased, I think within the first hour, realistically, I think it was in like the first 30 minutes of her going up, I purchased her and one of her outfits. So it's kind of cool knowing that I was like one of the first 500 people to purchase her. I think as of recording this, they had somewhere around 12,500 of her, and I assume that number will be a lot lower throughout the end of the day. But yeah, this Girl of the Year release has been pushed up as like that's one of the most notable changes I feel like, is that Girl of the Year is getting released in the fall of the year leading up to her release. So we got Lila Minetti, I believe, in October of last year. So 2023 was the release of the 2024 Girl of the Year. And obviously the reason they're doing that is to boost fourth quarter sales, because I say that, but it's like the fourth quarter is probably their biggest quarter. I would say the biggest thing is that they're just trying to make sure that this doll line gets sold in time for Christmas, because I understand that like an American Girl doll in most households is a really special purchase for a child. Like I would imagine most children aren't getting like an American Girl doll every single month. So Christmas is usually a big time of year that kids get their American Girl doll, or like Hanukkah or whatever holiday you celebrate around December. So yeah, I think that's why they started selling the dolls and releasing them early in the cycle, is because they want to be sure that kids are able to get this doll for Christmas and have plenty of time to ask for her, and also give the parents time to kind of budget and put together the funds to make that happen. So I've talked to other parents that have kids that collect or want American Girl dolls, and they say that this is actually a pretty good time of the year to go ahead and release it, because it takes time for it to like ultimately like burn into the child's brain and get them really wanting it and having time to ask for it, and then they need time to shop for it. So it does seem like September, October is the most convenient time for parents as far as the release of the doll. So I'm trying not to complain about that. I do understand that for so many people, especially that have been collecting American Girl for years and years and years now, that they had a tradition of basically at midnight on January 1st every year, like either staying up late or waking up early, I guess, depending on where you live, and seeing all of the new Girl of the Year stuff, and then a lot of times like going into the store that day and buying it if they were open on January 1st. I don't even know. But so it has like ruined the tradition, I think, a bit for people. But, you know, it's old news now. This is what's happening. And I think they're going to continue to do this from here on out. I can't imagine they will go back to January 1st releases. So yeah, this is our time of the year where we get really excited about the Girl of the Year. And there's been some controversy surrounding the release, you know, nothing major, but like, I do think that there are some issues that I want to talk about today in terms of representation and who the target demographic is for American Girl, because it is changing. And I think that American Girl is responding to that. And, you know, some changes are good, some changes are bad, but, you know, it's just one of these things that is now. It's nothing that I can control. I can just sit here with my big dumb head on your TV screen and complain about it. Or in all reality, like usually praise them. I do think American Girl is a really great brand that I have loved my entire life. And so, you know, this isn't going to be dunking on them for an hour. You know, like I said, I like 99% of the choices they make, but, you know, we'll get into some of the choices about the, you know, demographics of the doll herself. But let's go ahead and just jump in and start talking about the doll herself, because we have not gotten many leaks with regards to Summer. We knew about her book for like months in advance. And that's usually the case because these books have to go through publishers and get put on in that like ISBN. So that you start seeing them on like Amazon and Barnes and Noble. So we start getting like visual glimpses of the doll when that process starts. Typically, we have sleuths that go on the trademark and patent office website, and they will look up American Girl's copyright registrations. And we've known the name Summer McKinney for quite some time now because they register those things well in advance. Because, you know, you don't want to be a company that has some great idea for a doll and you start working on a doll that's named Summer McKinney, and then you have a disgruntled employee that, you know, 2 weeks into the project, well, realistically, like 2 months into the project, when final decisions might have already been made and books are being written and graphics are being made, and then all of a sudden somebody leaks the name, and then all of a sudden, you know, who knows, somebody goes and registers the trademark or tries to do something to infringe on that idea. And then all of a sudden, like American Girl has a problem on their hands because they don't own the copyright to the name. So that's literally the first thing that we get a glimpse of is the name for the doll, which I swear we've known about that name since like well into last year. So a few months ago, we got a glimpse at the book, and there was a lot of speculation about how many dolls there would be, what Summer would be like, which head sculpt that they would use to make the doll. And I think a lot of us were really surprised. Now, based on the illustrations, I and a lot of other people assumed that they were going to be using the Marie Grace head sculpt because it has had a recent resurgence over the last couple of years. I think the first time we saw it again was possibly in like the Truly Me line. I think it was one of the Truly Me dolls that we started seeing it again. And then most notably American Girl of the Year 2022, Kavi Sharma had the Marie Grace head sculpt. So yeah, it was retired for a while, and then all of a sudden it pops back up again, and we're seeing a ton of dolls with it. And, you know, particularly dolls like Rapunzel have been really, really popular. So I think they've been leaning into using that head sculpt. So yeah, I think most of us assumed we were going to get a Marie Grace head sculpt. Having seen the doll now, I'm actually glad we didn't, because I do think that they are starting to overuse that head sculpt just a little bit. So we have the Nenea head sculpt for Summer, which I think surprised just about everybody, myself included. You know, again, there's going to be some hot opinions on the use of this head sculpt because I think a lot of people are presuming that Summer is a Caucasian character. Now, I don't know that to be true or not. Just based on illustrations and like the illustrations of her parents and stuff, it kind of seems like she's Caucasian, but I don't want to make that like harsh assumption because it is possible she could have a mixed race background. So I don't want to sit here and be like, oh my God, I cannot believe they used an Asian head sculpt to make a Caucasian doll, because it might not technically be true. I know they've done a similar thing recently with Ariel, the Little Mermaid, because they've got that new Disney line, obviously, and they used the Nenea head sculpt for Ariel, which I thought was an odd choice, not because it was an Asian, or like it was originally sculpted to be an Asian character, but it was more that it just didn't look right with I just didn't think it was like a great choice for Ariel. I think if they wanted to use an Asian head sculpt, I do think that Corinne's head would have been a little bit better for the Little Mermaid. That made more sense to me. I wish they had done that, but yeah, so I don't want to sit here and be like, oh, this is a white doll. They used an Asian head sculpt. This is a horrible thing. It's a really difficult thing to talk about because people come in all different shapes, sizes, and colors, and it's obviously really problematic to sit here and say like this was a poor choice to use this specific head sculpt because of its original intended race or ethnicity, and this is presumably a white doll. It's problematic for me as someone who has not read every single detail about Summer to just assume that she's Caucasian because she has blonde hair and like the number 10 skin tone. So and that's one of the things I do love about dolls is that they are so abstracted that they can mean different things to different people. A child that is Caucasian may see Summer and look at her and sorry, I didn't cut away that just then because I said something insensitive. I've literally got a stupid gnat flying around my head. Hopefully this doesn't happen for the next hour because I will lose my mind. But anyway, so a child that's Caucasian might see themselves in Summer, for certain reasons. And then a child that's Asian might see themselves in Summer for like other similar or different reasons. So, the way we look at and interpret these dolls does have a lot to do with our own lens that we look through. So, I am one of those people that don't think that it's like really a bad thing that they use different head sculpts to represent like different people with different skin tones. So, because again, we all come in all different shapes, sizes, and colors, and it's like just crazy to say that this doll doesn't look white enough or this doll doesn't look Asian enough. Those are really problematic conversations to have. So for me, I really try and focus on what is actually good sculpting and what are good combinations in terms of like color palettes and things like that just make something look harmonious. And so for me, I think it's really interesting that they went with the Nenea head sculpt with this doll. And I want to guess that the major reason that they did is, more than anything, I think that the Nenea head sculpt is the youngest looking head sculpt in the line. And whether it's intentional or not, you end up with this like sculpt, and there are different ways you can paint it, like with like different eyelashes or eyebrows or whatever. There's just a lot you can do with a sculpt once it's done, also to age it down. But I do feel like by nature, Nenea does look younger to me than certain other dolls like Josefina. And so I actually think that's probably why they chose Nenea, because one of the biggest things I've been hearing and witnessing is that American Girl's target demographic is actually getting a lot younger. So you'll notice on the box, which we will talk about in depth in a second, because again, a lot of opinions on that, but on the box, Summer is recommended for ages 6 and older, and that is a relatively new concept for American Girl. Now, if you want to know some like original like Pleasant Company lore, those dolls were originally, unless it was a typo, they were originally recommended for ages 6 and up back in 1986. So there was either a typo or they originally planned for the dolls to be ages 6 and up back in the day when like Samantha, Molly, and Kirsten were first released, but that was very quickly changed to 8, like within like the first few months of the company launching. So it might have been a typo, but as a general rule, over the decades, American Girl has really been targeted at young girls, ages 8 and up. But what we're seeing lately, and if you're a parent, you can probably chime in on this like even more, but through TikTok and conversations with parents, I have seen that kids are like quote unquote growing up faster. But basically, like, they're losing interest in dolls at a lot younger age than they used to. So by the time like a child reaches 8 years old, they are becoming more and more fully conscious and are on social media platforms and watching YouTube. And, it's not really even my place to sit here and say what's good or bad about that, but it does worry me a little bit that like we have 8-year-olds getting obsessed with like skincare routines. I don't know. Again, it's not really my place to like judge all of that stuff because I'm completely childless and I'm a dude. So, all of those things come with so much baggage attached to them. So we won't dive into that in this episode. But at the end of the day, children are losing interest in dolls earlier and earlier, it sounds like. So, American Girl is getting a younger and younger demographic as time goes on. So, and again, one of the things that's come up as well is there's some talk that the Welly Wisher line might be discontinued. And my guess is they might just be trying to make the main doll line more accessible to younger ages. And who knows, I've heard some rumblings about another line that they might be launching, but that'll make this video like 2 hours long. But at the end of the day, their demographic is skewing younger. And I think that maybe younger girls might be, well, let's just say younger children might be able to see themselves more in a head sculpt like Nenea versus something like a Josefina or some of the other dolls that maybe look just a little bit older. And again, like I said before, you can kind of paint different like eyebrows and lip color and eyelashes on them to age them a little bit up or down, just based on the choices that they're making and the design of the doll. But I do think Summer looks very young compared to the average American Girl doll. And again, I'm not here to say whether that's good or bad. I'm just saying it's something that I'm noticing, and I think it's one of the bigger changes that we're seeing within the brand. Another thing on the topic of like just the demographics of the dolls, like their physical appearance, one of the things that I am continuing to see around, I think particularly like a release today, because it is, again, very problematic that we have had almost zero black and very deep skin representation in the American Girl of the Year line. And here we are with the release of a doll that to most people looks like a blonde Caucasian doll. This is problematic, and we'll talk about that a little bit in a minute. But one thing that is also problematic that I'm seeing a lot is people are continuing to use what I think is not great language to describe dolls like this. A doll that is blonde haired and blue eyed. I'm seeing a lot, like when I say a lot, I mean a lot of people referring to these dolls as boring and basic and, using a lot of derogatory language to describe dolls like based on very basic attributes that go along with them. And I do wish people would stop describing that in this way, because it sends a message to children that have these features that it's boring and basic to have blonde hair and be blue-eyed, because that's just like not true. That's not a truth of the universe. And I think that while we can still make arguments that we need to see more diversity in this line, which I wholeheartedly agree with, again, we'll get to it in a minute, I think the very first step is to stop referring to dolls like this as basic or bad or boring, because I think that's very harmful language to put out into the universe, whether it's for a child or an adult. I think, that features on a doll represent features on a person in real life, and we don't need to be using language, because I think most of us agree now that we don't use that language towards dolls of color or dolls of different like body sizes and stuff. But I do still see people making very derogatory comments towards dolls that are blonde, blue-eyed, or like skinny. I know that it was a really big controversy around the time Claudia was released that dolls were like too skinny, but again, that sends a message to kids that might be on the smaller size that is bad. These things are not bad or good. They are just factual facts of the universe. So my hope is that like more of us can stop using such loaded language when talking about the physical characteristics of doll. I know I'm not perfect. I'm sure I have called a doll ugly and said some, dumb things here and there, not thinking about it. I know we all do. I'm not perfect. I'm not up here on a soapbox acting like I'm perfect and telling everybody how to act. But I have just seen a lot of discourse around Summer that she is boring, basic, repetitive. And I just think that sends a really bad message. In my personal opinion, I really think we need to, instead of bashing and talking poorly about dolls with these characteristics, we need to talk about the characteristics that we need to see more and more of. And I haven't talked a whole lot about the doll yet. Again, hopefully I prepared you for a long episode today. But I guess because we're on the subject and I don't want to forget, I do think that it is hugely problematic that we have not seen a truly thoughtfully developed Black Girl of the Year in the almost 25 years that this line has been around. Gabriella is the only canonically Black doll that we have had in this line. And to me, that I think is unacceptable. I understand that American Girl needs to make a profit, and it's, at the end of the day, we live in a capitalist hellscape and money talks. But I do think that brands as big as American Girl have influence, and I think that it says a lot when you don't have enough very deep-skinned dolls represented in the Girl of the Year line. I think that's hugely problematic. I actually randomly saw a TikTok last night, and again, this isn't my story to tell or my experience, but it was from a Black woman describing her experience growing up as somebody who was considered other. And it was basically talking about how the experience is different for white women growing up in America versus Black women growing up in America. When you grow up, and all the Disney princesses, for the most part, are white and blonde haired, and you're told that's what's beautiful, and that's the beauty standard from the minute you're conscious. That is what the beauty standard is, that the princess is the one that's deserving, and she's the the end all be all ideal woman. And for decades and decades, our culture has been brainwashed that, for the most part, again, blonde haired, blue eyed women are deemed to be the most pure princessy characters. And while they're not actively saying Black women are the opposite of this, I can imagine, as someone that is Black growing up, sees what the portrayal of a Disney princess is like, and not seeing themselves represented in it at all is that's baggage you will carry for the rest of your life. It's those messages run really, really deep. And I do think that there is a lot of emotional baggage that is projected upon people of color just due to the lack of representation in different aspects of pop culture, And again, American Girl is a brand that's about celebrating diversity. In my opinion, I feel like the original intent of the line was to educate young girls about what it's like to be a girl through originally different times in history. But to me, that should translate as to what it's like to be, a girl of all different types of demographics. So it's crazy to me that still at this day and age, we still have not yet really, again, I don't really count Gabriella because I don't think that they really sat down and gave her the full Girl of the Year treatment. I just think it is incredibly problematic to see almost complete lack of representation with Black characters in that line. So I will continue to harp on this as this line goes on. I think it's important to raise our voices about this. It doesn't mean that Summer is a bad doll or Summer is ugly or invalid or shouldn't have been released. I just think that, we even just looking at the illustrations, which are beautiful, by the way, I do see deep skin and Black characters throughout Summer's journal and book, just based on the stuff I've been able to see. But, it's a customer or a best friend. They're almost is that what an NPC is? Not the main character. So I get that they're trying to represent different races, but it's in my opinion, not enough to have it just be the sidekick or the best friend. We really need to highlight more Black Girls of the Year. I just think it's very, very important. And I think it's something that's continuing to be brushed under the table in basically in the name of capitalism, because I think that American Girl probably feels like that they're not going to sell as many Black dolls if they release a Girl of the Year that's Black. And I think it's also American Girl's responsibility to create a culture that celebrates Black beauty. That is my opinion. And again, they are not completely dropping the ball on this. They have gorgeous Black dolls in their collection, and I do think that they are doing a better job of doing good representations of hair that is typical physical and deep-skinned and black women. So I do know that we are starting to see some more of this. I'm hoping that these conversations will encourage them to add more of this into the Girl of the Year line. So I'm not trying to say American Girl just completely sucks at this. But I do think that it sends a message, whether they intend to or not. It does send a message that we have not really seen a Black Girl of the Year yet. I would really like to encourage them to consider doing that it's probably too late to do it for 2026, but it's really time. It's been time for a long time. And I thought even again, it's not perfect, but it was my hope that we were going to get a doll for the character Daisy, which is Summer's best friend in the books and the journal. So from memory, just the synopsis I've read of her story, Daisy is basically Summer's best friend, and they end up getting into business together. So, and based on the illustrations, it looks like Daisy is black. And I really thought, I got my hopes up so much that we were going to get, I knew that Summer would be the Girl of the Year, but I really thought we would at least get a best friend launched alongside her, because this wouldn't be the first time that we got 2 dolls for Girl of the Year. I think, if I remember, Sonali I don't know if she was the first, but she was a very big popular doll that was released as part of the Girl of the Year line, but I think she was Chris's year. I can't remember. That was from my gray area where I wasn't paying attention to American Girl, but it wouldn't have been the first year that they had released 2 dolls for the Girl of the Year launch. And man, can you imagine what a Daisy doll, based on the illustrations of the book, would have looked like? What if we had a Claudie head sculpt with short micro braids or locks or box braids or something? The character that's illustrated in the books is so cute, and I just feel like a doll made to represent her would have gone a long way. Again, not perfect. It's not enough to make black characters just the sidekick, all the time, but it would have been better than nothing. And I have to say, if I have one real gripe about what they could have done that I don't think would have been that big of a deal for them as a company to make happen, I really think that they should have made the doll Daisy. That's probably my biggest disappointment. I would like to know if that's your disappointment too, because I think a lot of us were really, really hoping for her, because I know that doll would have been gorgeous, and I would have not thought twice about buying both her and Summer. So that was probably my biggest disappointment for the Girl of the Year release this time around, is that we did not get a black character, and we had the opportunity. It was right there in front of them to make the most gorgeous black doll as part of the Girl of the Year line, and they didn't do it, and I'm really, really disappointed about it. I think it's probably too late within the cycle to, if there was enough complaints now that she's not a character. I think it's too late. It takes, I think, a full year just to have a doll manufactured. So I mean, if I had to guess, if they hurry, it takes them probably about 2 years to conceive, to come up with the idea for the Girl of the Year, and then make it, design the doll, come up with all the iterations, and then have that doll manufactured and delivered. I think that's probably about a 2-year cycle, if I had to guess, maybe a little bit longer. So it's too late now to try and start a campaign to bring Daisy to life. I just have to say I'm really disappointed, and I hope that maybe there's enough time maybe for the next Girl of the Year. I'm not sure, but I know I've gone on about this a lot, but it's really important to me, and I know it's really important to a lot of other people, because like I said, I do think American Girl does have a responsibility to influence culture, because they are the doll brand next to Barbie, in my opinion. So I do think that it is up to them to really find ways to make sure that these things are made and celebrated. So I will get off that. I know we really want to talk about the physical characteristics of the doll, but I just really wanted to kind of put my 2 cents in on that, because like I said, it is so important to me, and I'm not just going to make it a sidebar in one video. I want it to be known that this, in my opinion, is a very, very big issue that I hope that American Girl can continue to work on. And, again, it's not enough. So like I mentioned previously, I do think Summer is very much targeted at a younger audience this year, even more so than Lila. I feel like Lila, was still fairly young. We're talking gymnastics and horseback riding, but just based on the appearance of the doll alone, in terms of again, using the Nenea head sculpt, which I think is probably their youngest looking head sculpt, and as well as giving her basically the JoJo Siwa treatment, it's a lot of rainbows, which is fine. there's nothing wrong with that. You know, as my personal taste, you know, I like things that are a little bit more like grown up looking, but this line really isn't targeted at me. I'm just sort of like a random person that really loves American Girl. So I get that like middle-aged men are not the target demographic, but I think, you know, that's one thing to like note, that with my critiques today, a lot of what we're going to be talking about is you know, I'm going to be keeping in mind you know, I say age appropriate. That seems a little bit judgmental, but I will be, you know, taking into consideration that the target demographic for this doll and her collection is 6-year-olds. So I have all, you know, certain things that I would like to see, but I recognize that a 6-year-old girl's taste is not exactly the same as mine. Well, I don't know these days, honestly. My poor algorithm has no idea what content to serve me anymore, but we have Summer McKinney, the 18-inch doll, Nenea head sculpt. We have blonde. What I think they've called this strawberry blonde hair, but I mean it's very blonde looking. And they say it's like, I don't think they use the term dip dye. I think they said the doll has like pink ends on it. But all of the pictures I'm seeing, it looks like she has a little bit more of the style of like what Corinne had, where it's basically like solid pink wefts that are just sort of like on the lower bottom wefts of her hair. And they're just like a little bit longer. So it kind of gives the illusion of a dip dye. But I don't think that from what I can tell, I've not seen many like real world pictures of this doll yet, because I'm doing this like in the morning of her release. But it looks like there's not actually like a dip dye in her hair. It just looks like it's the lower wefts of her, like the back of her head, and then some of them to like basically frame her temples, which I think is very interesting. Again, I think that probably is also appealing to younger children, but I have to say, I definitely know that a lot of adults complain about like colored hair in the dolls. I think it's fine. I think it's fun. I love to see the evolution of American Girl and all the different things that they're trying. So I think the colored hair is really fun. And this pink is a very pastel pink from what I can tell. So it's not like you look at her and she's like, you know, one of those like, what do they call, what are the like far right people got, like the blue haired libs? You know, I think that like, you know, again, without getting into a huge conversation about that, I do think American Girl is like scared of their like ultra far right, like conservative customers. So maybe that's why they're like kind of like toning down the pink hair dye on this doll. So I do think it's very subtle, but it's really pretty. I like it. And they put her hair in those, like, they call them micro braids. I don't know if I'd call it a micro braid, but they're like base framing braids that it's a hairstyle you can choose for the create your own doll line, which I think is really cute. I think it's a good meat hairstyle, but again, nothing really that special or different, but it's good. I like it. I do think her hair is a good length. I think it's probably pretty similar to Corinne's. It's sort of on the longer side of medium, but it's not one of those that's so long that I think is like really difficult to style and play with. I do think it's a great length for a 6-year-old to kind of start, you know, working on their dexterity and learning how to like style and work with doll hair. So again, I think that's probably another reason that we have a doll that's kind of got more like straight hair like this. I think it's probably less likely to get wrecked by a 6-year-old than something that's maybe like, you know, a Samantha or something that has more of a barrel curl or something that's a little bit harder, you know, to maintain. Most notably, she has glasses, and I think this is a big deal for a lot of people because this might be there's probably somebody I'm forgetting, but has there been anybody since Molly that's been released that is, you know, I don't know if she's farsighted or nearsighted. I would assume nearsighted based on the way they've like posed her in environments and stuff, but I think this is a really big deal for people because a lot of people wear glasses and they see themselves in characters like this. So I know that American Girl has sold glasses in the past and have been continuously throughout the years, but I can't think of anybody other than Molly that actually shipped with glasses as part of their character. So I think this is really great. I have to say, I don't love the style of these glasses. Again, I do think that they are probably targeted at 6-year-olds. Again, when I think of children wearing glasses, they're usually really big and clunky and like sort of like a goggle style so that they don't fall off. So these are probably meant to represent that a little bit more. Whereas I personally like ones that are a little bit more either like Molly's with like a wire rim or something that's sort of like a Ray-Ban style. I'll show you my glasses. Ones like these. that are very smudgy, so I should probably not wear these. So yeah, I think they're fine. You know, they're obviously like hot pink and purple ombre, which is gonna be a theme that we're gonna be seeing a lot. But you know, all in all, you know, I love dolls with eyewear. Most of the time, as you'll notice, I like to have eyewear on all of my dolls. So that I think is really, really great in terms of representation. I do think that that's a good thing. And you obviously always have the option to not leave her glasses on, but my Summer that I ordered will definitely be wearing her glasses. I'm also like really curious what people are going to think about her meet outfit, because again, very JoJo Siwa coded. It's rainbow, like ruffles. I have to say, I do think that they did a good job on the silhouette of it. We've got cinching in different places. We've got like layers on the ruffles on her, like the skirt of the dress. But I will say it is one piece, which to me is disappointing because I miss the days where you get a doll and she's got like a lot of different pieces to her outfit, you know, like pants, a shirt, a jacket, like Pleasant Company dolls in particular, but I think even like earlier American Girl dolls had like multi-piece outfits. And look, I know that inflation has been out of control in recent years. I think it's getting better, but you know, the damage I feel like has been done. And, you know, I think American Girl is really trying hard to basically shrinkflate their products without like losing too much quality. But at the end of the day, I am starting to see some corners cut, but at the same time, their price increases have not been egregious. We had some $10 price increases this year on certain things, but you know, as far as like inflation goes, I think they've done a really good job at sort of quelling like massive inflation in these dolls. So I take that in stride when looking at these things. I understand that, you know, doing a doll like this with a t-shirt and a jacket and a pair of pants and underwear and 2 shoes and a hat and all of those things adds so much cost into the doll that they would have to start charging probably closer to $175 for the Girl of the Year. So I'm actually okay with that. If this is what makes the dolls accessible to more children, I'm okay with this. It just takes some strategic designing, I think, to make things look interesting. And I think this is the case here. They've done a really good job of creating an interesting silhouette for the doll's outfit. So it's not just like those Truly Me outfits that literally look like a tall tee with a collar. You know, we've got lots of different like pieces to the construction of this. So I do think overall it looks really good on her without having to have multiple different pieces. My biggest complaint about this outfit actually is her shoes, which many of you that follow American Girl really closely might notice this, but these are actually recycled shoes. These shoes, from what I can tell, were part of an outfit that was released years ago. I think it was from the World Traveler set for Japan, and the only difference is they didn't put, I think they were just rhinestones, but the original ones had some rhinestones across like the toe strap, and these are basically the exact same shoes and the exact same color, just without the stones. And without complaining about it like a million times, I don't like open-toed shoes on American Girl dolls. I think they have such ugly feet that I don't like looking at, that I would rather she have some socks or something. But I've been on that spiel a million times, and it's no shade to American Girl. These feet were sculpted in the early 80s by somebody in Germany. That person may not even be alive anymore, so they might not even be insulted by what I'm saying. And I don't want American Girl to change them. They're iconic at this point. I need them to leave them exactly as they are. Just know that I think they are so fugly that it kills me every time they release a doll that has a meat outfit with sandals, because open-toed shoes on American Girl dolls should be illegal. That aside, I do think the color palette works well with the dress. You know, I did it on Patreon, so you might not have seen it, but I did my unboxing of Covey very recently, and my biggest complaint about Covey was her shoes were awful. Like, they were terrible, but at least they covered her feet, I guess. But I don't know. I feel like American Girl is kind of struggling in the shoe department, like trying to figure out how to make things cheap, but also like make them cheaply, but not look cheap. We've had a few good examples. I actually love Lila's shoes, even though she needs a pair of socks with them. And Isabel Hoffman has great shoes. Nikki Hoffman has great shoes. So I know they can do it. These just aren't my favorite. I think that they're a little generic looking, and they're fine with the outfit, but I won't go on a huge spiel about them. But just know I don't love the shoes. One thing that I've also noticed that is that she has a lot of beaded bracelets. Now, her meat outfit includes them. I think is that part of the Girl of the Year line? I feel like a lot of them have bracelets, or maybe some of them have necklace, but I've seen a lot of bracelets recently. So Not only does she come with like beaded bracelets in her meat outfit, her meat accessories also have them. And is this a Taylor Swift thing? Please educate me. I'm a Chapel Roan girly, not a Swiftie, but please let me know if that's a Taylor Swift thing to have like a lot of beaded. I feel like I've seen a lot of Taylor Swift fans wearing like beaded bracelets up their arms. So let me know if that's a Taylor Swift coded thing. I don't know. Oh, which reminds me, please go register to vote. This is an important election. This is your reminder to be sure you're registered to vote, and please vote and don't sit this one out. This is very important. All right. Anyway, that's my aside on that. But yeah, so she's got the beaded bracelets. Really nothing to write home about. They're cute. Seed bead bracelets have been around forever. We were wearing them when I was a kid. But yeah, all in all, I would say like a very basically constructed meat outfit, but I think very effective for how simply constructed it is. And I believe they changed her underwear color. I think she might have white underwear, which is, I think, new. I think from what I'm looking at in pictures, I think American Girl has been doing pink underwear for the longest time. And she has like these tidy whities now, which I love because I can use these for my boy dolls. So I selfishly would love them to use this underwear on all of their dolls because it is gender neutral, which I think is great. So regardless of the gender of your doll, you can use this underwear. Love these. I hope they continue to use that for all future dolls. And so I guess the next thing to talk about is the box. And boy, are there lots of opinions about this. And I have lots of them and they're very conflicted. So American Girl, at least for this cycle of Girl of the Year, has done boxes that do not have plastic window covers on them. Now, I don't know if they have made any public statement about this or anything, but word on the street is they're basically marketing this as them trying to be more eco-friendly, which I think honestly is a thinly veiled excuse for just trying to save money on the boxes, which is fine. I get that, like I said before, they're going to have to start cutting some corners somewhere so that they can keep the prices of these dolls affordable. And if it means like having to make choices like that on the boxes, fine. But I have tons of opinions on American Girl packaging that really deserve its own video. But I will say, I don't think that they consulted the store employees and their experiences when deciding to remove the windows off the doll boxes, because I do feel like that this is probably going to be chaos on release day for dolls. I am so curious because by the time you watch this, you might be somebody that has already gone to the American Girl store and seen this in real time. But me as a collector, I'm going into the store. I mean, you saw my unboxing of Lila and my experience of shopping for her in the store. I went in and looked at every single doll on the shelf, and that was easy because there's this big plastic porthole on the front of the box, so you can see very quickly if the doll has uneven eyes or not, which is the main thing most of us check for. So I'm so curious how this is going to look in the retail stores. It's because if I'm in the retail store, I'm not as picky as some, but I at least want to know that I don't have a Popeye doll. So I do have to look at the dolls. So I imagine all these dolls are going to be spread out on the checkout table and people just pulling them off and trying to look at them and looking at other people's dolls, seeing if they have a good one, if you can take theirs. It seems a little bit problematic for the stores, I have to say, because American Girl dolls are not like Barbie or other Mattel dolls that basically look exactly the same no matter what. Every single American Girl doll looks a little bit different from the next. And especially as a collector, like, it is really important to lay eyes on your doll if you can. Now, I mail ordered mine. I'm going to get what I get. But honestly, if she comes with messed up eyes, I'm sending her back. But yeah, I just think that that's going to create a very chaotic store situation. And at the very least, it's going to be very annoying for the team members that work at the retail stores. They just built a new retail store. I don't think this means they're shutting down the retail stores. But I do just think of like when you go in like the Gap or wherever and there's just like wadded up clothes everywhere because somebody tried the shirt on and then just wadded it up and threw it down. I worry that we're going to see that same kind of thing in retail stores where customers have gone in, taken lids off, like ripped them, indented them, trying to get them on and off. And, I would hope that American Girl customers are not that disrespectful that they would leave box lids off and stuff, but it's going to create problems because those box lids take some jiggling to get off. So I think we're going to be seeing some damaged boxes in stores. I think it's unfortunate for that reason. And again, I don't think it's because American Girl was trying to be eco-friendly. I think eco-friendly is a side effect of this, but I ultimately think it's to save money, because when you do a box in the style that they've been doing, it's extra money to die cut the box, which means cut the circle like for the hole in the first place, and additional money and materials to glue a plastic sheet behind that. So their boxes are going to be a lot cheaper to make without the window in them, because it's not going to cost them anything different to print the boxes. They already print the boxes in full color. And so it's like they are literally just cutting costs. It's not in any way at all more expensive for them to make them the way they're doing. One real quick thing, this is me from like just a few minutes in the future. I did have a quick look at the packaging on the inside of Summer's box, and it does look like they have put biodegradable packaging for the book tray and the meat accessories. So I think that is exceptional. That's really great. And on top of that, they were able to like print their logo and stuff on the meat accessory bag, so it doesn't just look like some cheap cereal toy prize. They look really good. So again, good job, American Girl. I do think that you actually did do that for the environment and not just, corporate profit. So yeah, I think that's a great change. Good job. Let's just try and make the boxes a little bit prettier. But all in all, really good updates on that. Now, okay, again, I feel like I have to preface that I love American Girl. I think they do 99% of things great. I love them, and I think they are doing a great job compared to pretty much every other doll brand. But I want to give my opinions on how I would do things if I was there as a graphic designer, because that's my trade. That's what I have spent 20 years at this point doing. So as some of y'all are probably going to my shop right now, looking at some of the like very quick graphic design jobs I've done on some things. Please don't judge me. My taste is impeccable. And that's probably too niche of a reference to reference Project Runway. But anyway, so, the box is good. It's not great. One thing I will say, I am so glad that we are seeing something that's a little bit on the minimal side. And I understand that we have to take into account that these are going to be in a retail store environment. So they can't put them in generic boxes like they do, like the Create Your Own dolls, for instance. They have to have some sort of very obvious, graphics or symbols so that people know what doll that they're picking up when they grab them, because they have to assume that there are going to be some parents that go in there and pick the doll up without looking inside the box to check. It's just like that they have to plan for that. So it has to be very obvious which doll's in there, because typically the way the store displays work is you go in and there's a really like beautiful like vignette that the employees put together. Like if you haven't been to an American Girl store, they are so fun, and the vignettes are just that's my favorite part of the American Girl store, is all of the vignettes that the team members put together, like to merchandise everything. It's really beautiful and fun. That was my favorite part of being in the store. But so that's basically how it is. You see the vignettes and like display dolls, and then you reach under like the bottom shelf and you grab a box to get your actual doll. So like the one that you're going to purchase and take home. So it is important that these boxes are very clearly marked that like which doll is inside them. And like I said, this is okay. It's still like a little like, cereal box looking is how I want to describe it. It doesn't have a luxury feel to it. Now, American Girl is a luxury brand. It's maybe not like Hermes, but when we're comparing like the shopping experience and the actual dolls themselves, American Girl is closer to like a Louis Vuitton or a Louis Vuitton. They're closer to a Louis Vuitton than they are maybe say like a Forever 21. So in the doll world, and when we're talking about in terms of like quality and something that you might pass down to somebody, something you save up for and you really want like the best. That's what American Girl is. And I think that their packaging needs to reflect that. Again, I know they are trying to cut costs, and they're trying to like also like realize that they're trying to get the attention of 6-year-olds. But to me, this package does not look luxurious. This looks like, again, something that is more like a Forever 21 quality, something you might see in like a Walmart or a Target. It does not quite have like a super luxurious feel. Now, if you contrast that with some of the doll boxes that they're already making, like say for instance, like the create your own dolls, or maybe more importantly, the collector dolls, they use really nice laminated cardboard that has like dense fluting in it. And it's like that, those boxes feel the same as like going and buying a bag from YSL or Louis Vuitton or Hermes or wherever. Those boxes have that luxury feel, and boy, it makes a big difference in the perceived value and your experience getting and opening the doll. So I was really hoping that when I caught wind that American Girl was doing windowless boxes for the Girl of the Year, I was hoping that they would be able to, like, the money that they were going to save in the die cutting and the plastic window on the doll box, that they were going to invest that money into using higher quality laminated cardboard versus the boxes that they've been using for basically an eternity now, basically since the beginning. So, you know, I just really would hope that they would continue to work on that luxury feel for the boxes, because I do think that this is a step backwards in terms of packaging. I think in terms of design, I do think it's great that there's going to be less plastic in the landfill, but it is kind of hard for me to believe that they're like the only reason they did this was for like to reduce microplastics when like most of their product line is plastic anyway. So, again, you know, all tea, no shade. I do think that this was really more a play to save money than it was for the environment, but it's good that we are seeing, you know, I guess less microplastics in the, you know, in our environment. And to be fair, these box lids are meant to be recycled. And in fact, that probably makes them a lot easier to be recycled in different municipalities. I think that there are a lot of places you can't recycle a cardboard box if it's got plastic attached to it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it might make them more easily recycled. So it is a good thing. I am not complaining that they have done this. If that's what it takes, that you know, the good is better than the bad. But I really hope that they can continue to work on ways of both graphically and just material wise to make these feel a little bit more like the experience of opening a luxury handbag versus opening a doll from Target that you maybe paid $20 for. That's just kind of my gripe about that. I do wish that the quality was overall better, because delighting customers is a big part of, you know, it's a big part of designing a product, is you want your customers to be delighted, and that's all in the small details. So I think it's good that American Girl is starting to make changes in their packaging. I think, you know, you've got to have Mortal Kombat 4 before you can have Mortal Kombat 11, which I know is probably the most niche reference that nobody will understand. But sometimes you have to like kind of make it a little bit janky before you get to a really, really good solution. So now that the ball is moving on new packaging and stuff, I think that we might end up with some really great packaging in the end. But I just hope that they can continue to maybe take inspiration from things like luxury fashion houses as far as like the design of the boxes goes, versus like looking at what something like MGA might be doing. So that's my hope for that, is that they continue to try and remember that American Girl is a luxury brand, and that comes with a certain expectations of experiences. I mean, I think they get that in the retail store, but I really want to see more care put into the graphic design and the packaging. Again, that's just my spiel as a graphic designer. I want a little bit more care and luxury in the packaging. On the topic of her story, I haven't read it, so I have to like preface this with that I might be making a lot of assumptions, but I know that it roughly involves like her Aunt Olivia, which I kind of think might be a nod to Olivia Rodrigo, who played Grace, American Girl of the Year, insert year here, I forgot her year, but Grace was also like really big into baking. So I low-key think that Aunt Olivia is a reference to Olivia Rodrigo. I could be wrong, but I'm going to choose to believe that. But I think the story largely centers around her aunt coming to visit and bringing her cat, whose name is Fettuccine. I think that's the cat's name. And the cat doesn't get along with her adopted dog, Crescent. So I think that's one of the like plot lines that it's like, Summer's trying to figure out how to like get the animals to get along and get the people to get along. Like the entire world rests upon poor little Summer's shoulders. But so her aunt comes to town with a cat, and then I think that maybe inspires Summer to start her own business and baking dog treats basically. But somewhere along the way, I feel like there was something about her having a dog walking business too. I don't know. This poor girl is probably getting zero sleep. And I'm trying to think what other plot lines there are. I think she starts to go into business with her friend Daisy, but that might be in the book that's getting released next year. But yeah, she's an entrepreneurial little girl, which, it's a double-edged sword. Again, I feel like we live in a capitalist hellscape, and like, success is only measured in dollars for a lot of people. And, that can be problematic to be like, okay, you're 6 years old. It's time to start worrying about getting into the workforce and starting your own business and money, money, money. So I get that it can be problematic in that way, but I also do think that it's really good to, and, show kids that there are ways of like being independent and starting your own business if that's something you want to do. But let me tell you, as somebody who does that for a living, it's not for everybody, and it's certainly not for the faint of heart. But hopefully it doesn't glorify it too much, because there are a lot of sacrifices that you have to make. Don't I know it? But yeah, but again, it's good to get, kids, especially like young girls, thinking about, taking control of their life and finding something that they love to do and being able to turn that into a job, because that is what I'm trying to do by making my entire personality about dolls and talking about it on YouTube. But so yeah, I haven't read it or know too much about her stories. I know that there are a lot of people that are unhappy that we've yet again got pets and baking and stuff. And they're like, this is so like recycled and stuff. But again, I want to reiterate, this line is for children. Like we are adults that enjoy this, but 6-year-old girls are the target demographic in American girls' mind. When they're conceiving this stuff and making it, they are trying to make things that are appealing to a 6-year-old that wasn't even alive when like Girl of the Year 2012 was around. So it's really important to remember this stuff when going on American Girl's Instagram and saying things like, I hate this. This is so stupid. Why are you doing this again? This is a children's brand. Can you I'm going to say that one more time for some of you that might need to touch grass a little bit, myself included, but this is a children's brand, and we are in a children's space buying children's toys. And that is totally fine. There is not a thing in the world wrong with it. Again, like I said, I've made it my entire personality, but it is important to understand that there are certain things that come along with existing in children's spaces. And one of those is understanding the target demographic for the product that you're consuming. It's not you. So that's why, I have criticisms about things that I would like personally, things that I might do if I was personally designing this for 6-year-olds. But I can separate the fact that I wish Summer had like a really cool pair of ripped, like cut off jeans and a whole t-shirt. I understand that a 6-year-old doesn't want that. And so I can separate those things. I can envision the doll that I wish existed, but I can also be realistic and understand this is what 6-year-olds are getting really excited about right now. And I love that for them. We celebrate that. And I know that I can partake in supporting a brand that's making really great, with some exceptions, toys for 6-year-olds and keeping American Girl alive. I know that that's part of my contribution to American Girl, is saying like, okay, this isn't my favorite doll in the world, but Girl of the Year is exciting, and I want to try and collect them all. It's fun to get excited about the release and open a new doll and experience that. I can get excited about those things and not be super mad that she didn't have my favorite outfit or my favorite head sculpt or my favorite color of eyes or blah, blah, blah. So please remember that if you're somebody that's watching this that just immediately goes to hate on something that isn't your ideal thing as like a 36-year-old, this line is designed and intended for children, and it is totally fine. Not a single problem in the world. In fact, it's fantastic that people in their teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s are interested in and purchasing these things. That is great. American Girl does love that. I mean, hello, it's Mattel. They love money. So they love that you're buying these things. But I would say, like, please refrain from saying like this doll sucks on Instagram because they've used the concept of baking before. Kids like baking and cupcakes. I mean, hello. So, and I don't want to be like mean dad up here, like chiding everybody for complaining. It is important. I like earlier was complaining about their lack of deep skin and black characters in the Girl of the Year line. It's okay to complain about certain things. I get that, but just when you're complaining, please keep in mind that you remember that these are intended for 6-year-olds. So certainly complain about lack of diversity. Complain if you want to complain about things like that. Just try and remember it. Like it's keep the 6-year-olds in mind is all I'm saying. And again, it's fine to say like, hey, could we try something about like putting her like a character that's interested in STEM instead of cupcakes. That's totally fine. Again, for me, it just comes back to please remember that this is for 6-year-olds and not be on. And this is if you're complaining about this on Instagram, I might not even be talking to you specifically. I just mean specifically the people that are there saying like, I'm 36 years old and this should be designed to my specific tastes. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, I know that there's some heat on them about that. I don't really think that they care. Again, I understand that baking and cupcakes and rainbows and all of that stuff is enticing to a lot of 6-year-olds. It sells. I get that. So it's not really like for me to decide like what Girl of the Year should and shouldn't have. I'm allowed to get excited about it, and I love getting excited about it and purchasing it and supporting American Girl because I think most of the time they're doing really, really great things. So that's kind of my 2 cents on like the themes and the stories going along with summer. I've probably left out something super problematic or even said something super problematic. I don't know. Again, I just try and keep in mind that I am somebody who is in their latest 30 talking about children's toys, and I try and keep that in mind that I am purchasing in a children's space. So that's why when I get on here and do these reviews, especially for something like Girl of the Year, I'm not like, this sucks, burn it down, because I don't have children and I don't know really any 6-year-olds. I just know parents that are forwarding these sentiments along to me. So that's why I'm not on here completely roasting American Girl for making decisions about dolls for 6-year-olds instead of 35-year-olds. But yeah, all that said, I don't have strong opinions on it. One thing I will say that is absolutely great, based on what I can tell from the product descriptions and stuff, is that her dog Crescent is an adopted shelter dog, which is a huge win. I love that. We are I'm going to try not to get emotional on camera today, so I can't talk about it a lot, but we are a household that is very, very firmly into adopting dogs from animal shelters. They're just the best freaking dogs. Okay. Anyway, so I think that's really great that they are promoting adopting dogs from animal shelters, because even if you're somebody that wants a specific dog breed, you can get a specific breed at an animal shelter without going to a breeder. So that's always an option for people. And I think it's really great that they are making that part of her story. That's because it's one that's incredibly close to my heart. And I'm really happy to see that. And I'm guessing, I haven't seen this. It's just my guess that the dog's named Crescent because I don't know the dog's gender. I don't want to misgender the dog, but the dog probably curls up to sleep. You know how dogs are; they'll like curl up into like a crescent roll shape. That's probably why that dog's named Crescent. But really, really great that it is an unnamed dog breed from an animal shelter. I think that's so great. So yeah, I think that's probably my favorite part about the story, assuming that I'm right about that. Yeah, I guess the last thing to touch on that is I think that Micah Plinsky has done a brilliant job with the illustrations in the books. I hope they continue to use her. I think that her style is perfect for the modern age of children's book illustrations, because as much as like Renee Graff and some of the other illustrators that worked on the original Pleasant Company books they are so talented, and those books are a piece of history and own a piece of my soul. Those, trends change over the years, so that kind of illustration style has had its moment in time, and things evolve over time. They continue to change and mutate. That is the nature of products. So I have to make it very clear how much I love and respect the original illustrators of the Pleasant Company books, because they are iconic and perfect. But I do love that, knowing that the way the zeitgeist has basically changed over the years, American Girl, I think, has landed on a really, really great illustration style for these books. I think Micah Plinsky is immensely talented and has found a really great way of getting, like, landing her illustrations halfway between doll and human being. To me, it's the perfect abstraction. And you've heard me go on about Courtney's books a ton. I think that they are brilliantly written. I love Courtney's books. But my only issue with them is the illustrations in them, I think, are too photorealistic. It looks like they actually took human models, took pictures of them, and then just kind of digitally altered them a little bit. So to me, that's not abstract enough. I personally like illustrations that look a little bit more cartoony. And again, Micah Plinsky's illustration style, I think, is just a slam dunk with the American Girl range. I hope they continue to use her for a good while. I think she's just doing an excellent job. So I really, really love the illustrations on her books. So, and I can't, I probably will end up reading them. I'm starting to get more and more interested in the actual stories around these dolls, because I've realized in recent years that as an adult, it's totally fine to read a book that is like at, like a second grade reading level. Sometimes it's a really great way to just relax and sort of, it's almost meditative. It kind of takes you into the past a little bit too, to read something that's on a little bit more of a simple level and graspable to like a 7-year-old. Sometimes that's fun to read, and it's really interesting to follow the lore with American Girl. So, I probably will continue to read more and more books. So I probably will read these books before it's over with. So that's it for the doll. I know I went on a huge tear on that, but there's a lot to talk about with Girl of the Year. There's always so many opinions and hot takes on everything, and I probably left something out, which I'll probably will just go back in and edit as I'm editing this and add some more information. But I want to move on to her meat accessories, because again, there were a couple of changes with these as well. Most notably, the price point. I feel like meat accessories typically are like $36, and then they give you like a $5 discount or whatever if you buy the meat accessories with the doll. But this time around, the meat accessories are $30, and I will say, I don't love them, but they're fine. The reason I say that is I actually didn't end up buying them, mainly because I didn't get a discount for adding them to cart when I bought the doll. So I will probably ultimately get these maybe in like 2 years when they go on sale, because I really do like the bag. I think it's very, very cute. One other thing that the bag is reminding me of is American Girl has changed their tag style, like their external tag style, which I'm really happy about. I have always disliked those acrylic logos, like the little oval acrylic things that they sew to the outside of garments. I really, really don't like those. And I think that these like woven or whatever these tags are, these little fabric tags with a star on them, are much better. My only note is I don't really like that basically you have to have red in every outfit. So if you have like this really beautiful soft white outfit, for instance, then you are going to have this big red honkin' tag in the middle of it. But in most cases, I think this looks much better than those acrylic tags. I just really did not like those. So good job on that. I think that's a great change. This bag is absolutely adorable. I probably, like I said, will pick it up. I think her head wrap is cute, but, obviously something very cheaply made. And she comes with a dog toy, which I think is fun. I think it's probably a way of helping upsell some of the pets that are sold as part of her collection, because they all have that like magnetic thing in their mouth that you can attach a dog toy to, which is, adds really fun play value. So I think that's great. We've got more beaded bracelets, which again, I think that's a Swiftie thing. Let me know in the comments. And then the only thing in here that I really don't like is that like ice cream shaped like sippy tumbler thing. It's just personal taste for me. I just think it's shaped a little bit weird because it has to fit in her hand. I don't know. I don't like the shape of it. I'm sorry. But I think it's fine. Here's my wish for this, and we'll get to the hat in a second. There's a hat that comes with a playset that is my favorite thing in her entire collection, and it's paired with a $125 playset, which I'm not buying. So, if I could have my way, I really wish they had put that hat with her meat accessories. Like, if we could have ditched the headband and that little ice cream cone like tumbler and replaced it with a hat, I would have been in heaven with these meat accessories, and I would have bought them in a snap. I wouldn't have had to think about it. Those hats are really cute on dolls. They're very similar to the hats that Corinne had with one of her outfits and Nikki Hoffman has with her meat accessories. They look so cool on the dolls, and they work really great for the boy dolls as well, but I just love American Girl hats. I'm going to try and get my hands on that hat without buying the playset, but that's my wish, is we had that hat as part of the meat accessories. This would have been really cute, but again, personal complaint. It's all in all, I'm happy that they were able to get the price of the meat accessories down to $30. That is fantastic, because I do think that $36 for meat accessories is so much money for like just a few small accessories. So getting the price down to $30, I think, is really great. And I think they had to make probably a couple of changes to make that happen. So I don't want to complain too much about quality or pieces, but for selfish reasons, I really wish they had that hat. I guess while we're on the subject of that playset, let's go ahead and talk about it next, because that is the big ticket item for her release, which I think looks great. And I have to say, I am seeing some signs that American Girl is trying to be really careful about pricing on things. And again, it's probably partially because we're targeting 6-year-olds now. And I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you're less likely to buy like a $250 playset for a 6-year-old than you are like a 9-year-old maybe. So maybe that's why like the real big ticket item that's branded with Summer's branding is only $125. But I do think it's a really cool set. I think they've done a good job of giving it volume without having to use a ton of plastic like they have in instances like Mary Ellen's Diner or I guess more relevant, Grace's Bakery. There's a lot less like actual plastic in it because they have that really cute awning. And I think this set overall has really great impact. I think this would look great on a doll display. And I think there's tons of great play value in it. I know it's got, because I'm going to talk about it now. There's a logo for Summer's business that she starts that's called Waggy Pup Tails. And I read briefly that it's her sister that designed the logo for Waggy Pup Tails. And her sister is either like 22 years old or like a graphic design prodigy, because that logo is so good. Like, I love the font that they chose for it, and the illustration of presumably her dog Crescent is absolutely adorable. It's very, very well illustrated. I think just even as somebody who, is very critical of graphic design and illustration, because that's what I used to do for a living, I think that they have done an excellent job with that. It's very cute. It's not very, sometimes these graphics on these doll clothes can look a little bit live, laugh, love, or just like a little bit Home Goodsy, if you know what I mean. And no shade to Home Goods. I have plenty of stuff in my house from Home Goods, but you know what I'm talking about. It's just very like clip art looking, but this looks illustrated and designed. I think great job to the illustrator and graphic designer that worked on that logo. I think you did a really excellent job, and I want to commend you on that, because this logo is used in several places and I really, really like it. So the dog is just adorable. I think that's so cute. But this set overall is great. And if I was really, really into collecting Girl of the Year, I would buy this. I do think that it's really nice. I just don't have the space for it. I really would like to get Samantha's Tyson's ice cream parlor. And that's, sorry, but Vintage Pleasant Company is just going to beat out new American Girl stuff for me any day. So, but all in all, like, yeah, it's great. My only note about the quality is the overuse of plastic, which is just, I'm basically a broken record with that at this point. And I feel like the awning is made just a little bit kind of cheaply. I wish they had at least lined the fabric that they used for like the awning, which is like the umbrella kind of looking thing on top. It looks a little bit cheapy. Like if you took it out in the wind, it would just blow right off. I really love the design of this. I think it has a really great impact. I think there's a ton of play value in it. I'm so completely irritated that they made the hat part of this accessory set, because that hat is awesome. That's the best hat that they've ever made. I think, if I'm a ball cap speaking anyway, we're not talking about like every hat they've ever made, but in terms of ball caps, this is so cute. I love the color. I love the logo. I'm going to try and get my hands on it. I'm just very irritated that it's attached to a $125 playset that I have no business buying. But all in all, this has so much great play value. I really, really, really love this set. All right, next up we have Crescent, who we mentioned before, which is Summer's dog. And just to briefly read his description, it says, Summer adopts Crescent, a fluffy white dog from the local animal shelter. He inspires Summer to start her business, Waggy Pup Tales. Add this adorable friend to your girl's collection of pets for 18-inch dolls. I wish they would stop gendering their marketing, but this video will be 3 hours long if I get into that. So anyway, we have Crescent. In the pictures, he looks really cute. I do think his head looks a little bit small, but honestly, I've seen some dogs like that whose heads look like remarkably kind of small. But I think they should have given him a slightly bigger head. But he is overall really cute. You know, an unnamed breed. Again, I would hope that he is. This stays like his breed stays unnamed throughout the story. So I think it's really great to just kind of leave it up to the kids' imagination and let, you know, or possibly just have him be a mixed breed dog. I think that's really great. We have the obligatory like rainbow stuff. We've got his leash and his doggy bag holder, as well as you know, I guess he is also a JoJo Siwa fan with this like tie-dyed rainbow fur. Like, why does he have like a fur jacket on? That is so Liberace. But yeah, all in all, really cute. I love his collar that has this little heart-shaped tag on it that looks like it actually might be metal, but super cute. If I had read a little bit more about Crescent before purchasing, like making my purchase this morning, I probably would have gone ahead and gotten Crescent because I think he's going to be an important part of our story. And the more I like dive into this world, I really like him. So I just would, you know, I probably will end up adding him to my very, very small Girl of the Year collection because I really like the sentiment. So yeah, I might pick him up at some point. Maybe if he goes on sale like 2 years from now, because realistically in like 2 years, I can probably get him for $20. But yeah, a really fun addition. And I think probably one of the reasons they might have made him white is because this collection is so pastel rainbow that the white kind of like keeps him from being too distracting from all of those soft colors. So that's my guess is why they picked like a white dog. And I think it looks great if you're just looking at the overall color palette for the doll and her accessories and everything. I think a white dog was actually a really good choice. I'm actually curious if in the story they make him deaf, because I know that it might be this way in cats, but most people I've known that have had white dogs typically are either born deaf or go deaf. So that would have been a very interesting thing to put as part of the story. My dog in his final years was deaf as well. So again, if they make this dog deaf, I will definitely be buying him. All right, no more dog talk. Next up is her bake sale outfit. And I think this is one of those outfits that has really kind of driven home the point that this doll is really targeted at much younger children than previous years, because nothing says 6-year-old like purple t-shirt with a cupcake and hearts and like a pink tutu and ballet flats basically. So this is, yeah, like I said, I think this is a very, very young skewing outfit. I have already spoken to adults that really, really love it and are going to purchase it. But honestly, like I think if you throw the jacket on with this and put a pair of jeans on her, it will age this up a little bit. So I do like this. And again, I think as far as like the illustrations are on this go around, I think that they're doing a really good job. I don't think this cupcake looks as clip arty as it could. It has a really nice illustration style to it. I like the little heart on top. It's embroidered on there, which is really great. It has like, that's much higher quality than say just screen printing it on the front of the t-shirt. So I think the t-shirt overall looks like it's high quality, and from the looks of it, it looks like there are actual real sequins sewn onto it. So I think this is actually a pretty good quality outfit, considering you get an embroidered t-shirt, a headband that's recycled from the Create Your Own line, a skirt, and shoes. It's only $34. I won't be picking this up, but I think that this is going to be especially popular with the younger crowd. I see this selling well. Again, it's not really for me, but I really do have to say I love that headband. I wish I could get my hands on it. It's a really pretty color, and I love the shape of it. It's almost like a rickrack kind of shape. I wish I could get that one little piece, but you know, not for $34. Next, we have Summer's baking accessories, which really realistically to me looks like a lot of recycled pieces. And you have to remember, when American Girl makes these things, like every time they, like even if they were going to make a new design of a stand mixer, they have to pay a lot of money and R&D plus like developing molds and stuff to make this stuff. So it's much cheaper for them to use the molds that they already have with the factories that they're using. So that's why this mixer looks like, I swear this is an exact like carbon copy of Grace's mixer. I think we've seen this mixer used several times just with like different like graphic design on it. So there's not a whole lot remarkable here. I think if you're like an adult collector, for instance, again, we have the wheat flour. I don't think that that's particularly good for dogs, but talk to your veterinarian. That's my personal thing. Again, I'm not going to turn into one of those crunchy channels, I promise. But yeah, I see a lot of accessories in here that I feel like I've seen before. It's a great add-on if you're buying this for kids and you have the extra money, but $50 seems like a lot to me for a plastic stand mixer, an apron, and some like goodies. But I do think the stand mixer actually works. I think it's battery operated. So yeah, it's fun, but I think it's a little bit overpriced. This is probably one of those things that's going to sell really well when it goes on sale, but I think that price point might be a little high. If they could have gotten that closer to $40, I think they would sell more of them. But the apron is really cute. I think that would like look really great on display. So yeah, I like the set. It's just nothing really crazy to write home about because I don't feel like there's like a lot of original stuff in it. But again, 6-year-olds seeing this for the first time, are going to love this. I think as a cost-cutting measure, I'm looking at Summer's like collection page. They put a lot of the generic like Truly Me line stuff in here, like a kitchen and a table and chairs, and most notably this like pet spa and daycare. I called this, y'all, back like what feels like months ago when I did my first reaction to like some leaks about Summer McKinney. I noted that on the cover of one of the books, or somewhere, actually, I don't even remember, but I think it was on the cover of Summer Gets to Work. There was a lot of stuff pictured from that pet spa and daycare set that American Girl already had. So I was like, oh, they're going to be like putting a lot of their stuff like marketed alongside Summer, even though it's part of their like permanent collection and stuff that they've had already. But yeah, that pet spa, there's a lot of stuff like illustrated in her books, like aprons and shower caps and things like that. So, yeah, but totally fine. Who cares at the end of the day? I mean, if you're a completist, at least if you collect Girl of the Year, you don't have to buy this stuff if you just have that thing that like itches your brain if you don't have everything they made for a certain line. So if you are a completist and you want to collect Summer's entire collection, you are excused from buying the gourmet kitchen table for 2 set, and the pet spa, and any of these other pets that don't have Summer's name on it. You have my permission to not buy those. All right, anyway, next is the other item that I bought for my Summer doll, and that is Summer's Waggy Pup Tails outfit. So the reason I bought this is because I love the illustration on the t-shirt. Again, I think they did such a great job with that. But the jacket is really, really what sold me on this outfit. I'm going to try and get my hands on that hat, and I think it'll look really good with this whole, again, it just make the doll look a little bit more grown up and a little bit more to my specific taste. But this jacket is really, really cool. That is the main reason I purchased this. And I love the ombre printing on it, the little like rainbow collar on it. It looks like it's really well made. Again, I just love the color palette. I am a sucker for a doll jacket, a doll sweater, or a doll hat. They just get me every time with those things. So I absolutely had to have this set. I'm not as big on like the skirt and the shoes. The shoes seem like a little bit like everything else they've ever made. If they're not already in the line, they're very similar like to other things I've seen. They're fine. I'll probably use them. In fact, I'm probably going to put them on my Summer doll when I get her because I need those sandals off her feet. I just can't with those feet. One really fun detail that they've done on this set is putting heart-shaped pockets on the skirt. And I gotta say, it is a very demure move on their part to use the same color fabric for the pockets as the rest of the skirt because it's just a little whisper of a heart. It's not big honking heart rainbows. I think it gave it like a sense of, I don't know, just like the slightest little sense of, hey, we're not going to throw everything and the kitchen sink on this collection. I just thought that was a really subtle detail that I really liked. I don't know. I can't explain it, but it just sort of goes back to that luxury thing I was talking about before. Less is more in some cases, and I just really love that it's tone on tone with the pockets on the skirt, and they weren't like these big, loud, glittery hearts. I think this looks really cool. Again, we got some knee socks. I will definitely be using those. I've seen American Girl use those a lot recently, and I love them. It's very 90s. We all love Clueless, and we love that look of a skirt with knee socks. It's so iconically 90s. I love that we're seeing more of that. So I guess that goes without saying that this is my second favorite thing that they made for summer because I actually bought it. And I generally will only buy the girl of the year and her meat accessories and not anything else because my doll collection is so big, and the girl of the year is just sort of like a fun side project for me, if you want to think of it that way. I really enjoy it, and it's fun to get excited about, but I just cannot go all in on it because it is so much stuff. But I really had to have this outfit because I fell in love with that jacket, and I think that like t-shirt is so cute. Really quickly before I forget, because it's buried so far down on the product page, we also got a dog bed for, I'm assuming, for Crescent. So this is really cute. Again, not a ton to say about it. I love that they like tried to do something different and made a paw shaped bed instead of just like a generic dog bed. I think that's really cute, and it adds like extra display value, I feel like, to this doll if you're somebody that likes to display them. So I think that's super cute, and it looks like a toy comes with it, and I think it's magnetic. I don't think it squeaks, but it would be really cute if it did. We got some dog bowls with removable dog food and water, which is fun, and a brush, which again, more play value for your Crescent dog if you so choose to buy him. All right, speaking of pet accessories, they are also selling Summer's cat fettuccine. Now, according to the synopsis, I thought Fettuccine was Aunt Olivia's cat, so maybe something's going on. Maybe Aunt Olivia is going on the Sour reunion tour and she needs somebody to watch her cat or give her cat to or something. But apparently Fettuccine is Summer's cat now. So along with a Fettuccine comes a really cute backpack that Fettuccine can travel in. I think that this is going to be popular. I think a lot of cat owners that I know have I don't know if it has like a specific name. What is it called here? They just called it a backpack carrier. I think this is really fun play value. I have to say I almost bought this because I really like it. I just couldn't figure out a way to display it really cutely. But as people buy these things and show them off, I might be able to be talked into this because I really like the color palette. Like I love the like holographic laser foil that they use for the backpack with the pink trim and zip and everything. And this cat with like the bow on her ear, like stop it. That is so cute. So just know I was very tempted by this set. I imagine that this is going to sell really well, especially for people that have cats. So I do think this is one of the cooler, like most exciting things that they released for her collection. I really do like this. All right, and we have what I anticipate will probably, I could be wrong, but I think this might be the best selling outfit for Summer's collection. So if you can only get one and you're worried about things selling out, especially in time for Christmas, I would say this Stars and Snuggles PJs for 18-inch dolls is going to sell exceptionally well. I know adults that love this, and this has 6-year-old written all over. I just think kids are going to go nuts for this. I have to say, it's not to my personal taste. For me, it's giving Meghan Trainor on RuPaul's Drag Race. I will never forgive her for that. So this isn't like my favorite thing in the world, but I have to say it was very clever. It is cute. I love that they've got that like splotchy tie-dye, like, so it's like rainbowed. We've got the animal ears on the hood. Like, kids are going to go nuts for this. And if I see this in person, I actually probably could be talked into getting it because it does look really cute and it's so snuggly looking. I cannot imagine that they aren't going to sell these hand over fist. I think this is probably going to be the most popular outfit for Christmas. So if you are buying this for a child for Christmas, I would say go ahead and get this. I envision this selling out for the holiday season. So yeah, if they want it, get it. I think they've done a great job with it. It looks like it's very high quality. It even comes with a pair of slippers, but it looks like they've embroidered stars all over it, or are they printed? I can't tell. No, actually they're printed, but regardless, I think this looks great. I think this is a really good buy if you have a kid especially, but if you're an adult that loves rainbows and snuggly things, I would suggest getting this. I do think it's cute. It's just not to my own personal taste, but I think a really smart decision on American Girl's behalf. All right, and the final thing we're going to look at today is Summer's sleep accessories for 18-inch dolls, which again, I think is another great set. Now, this I really like because to me, this is giving Lisa Frank, and I really actually want to purchase this once it goes on sale later on. I think it would look really great on my like 80s and 90s toy display, which is my new backdrop for the channel. I think that that sleeping bag would look so cute on Courtney's bed. Like, and again, I've got lots of like purple and stuff around here. I think that would look really, really good there. So I will likely get that just like basically to give to Courtney, basically. But it looks like it's super well made. Again, it's sleepwear stuff for American Girl dolls. That is basically a guaranteed hit. So yeah, I imagine this will also sell really well. I love the like rainbow foil like stamping that they've done on the like exterior of the sleeping bag. Color palette's perfect. This is a slam dunk. I absolutely love this sleeping bag. And the little crocheted dog that is presumably like made or at least purchased by Aunt Olivia that was given to Summer. I think that's a really cute addition as well. But that sleeping bag is awesome. I really love that. And I would like to add that to my collection. All right. That is probably going to do it for all of my thoughts and opinions on American Girl of the Year 2025, Summer McKinney. I know it was a deep one today. I hope you had fun diving deep into her world of accessories and empty calories for dogs. I think this collection is really fun. You know, I think if you're somebody that can really tap into that childhood part of your brain, I think you're really going to enjoy this collection. Like I said, I purchased the doll. I think it's so fun to collect Girl of the Year and get really excited about these things. And it's fun to support American Girl with these temporary projects that they do, basically. Like, these are ephemeral, and it's really fun to have this tiny little piece of history when it comes to American Girl. So it's just been really fun diving into this stuff. I'm really curious about your opinions too. I know I kind of popped off today on a few hot topics and controversial issues. So I would love to know your opinions as well about those things. If you think I'm right, if you think I'm wrong, or if there's something I forgot, I would love to hear from you in the comments below. Don't forget that this channel is almost completely funded by my friends on Patreon. So please check out the link below if you want to support this channel so I can keep making videos. There are hours and hours of exclusive videos on that channel as well. So I think you will be pleasantly surprised how much content you get for how little money. So please be sure to check it out. It's the best thing you can do to help support me so I can keep doing this. While you're in the video description, feel free to check out my shop and social media links below. And if you want to keep hanging out on YouTube, I can't imagine why not if you've made it this far. I've got tons of other videos like this one right here. So I hope you enjoy, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.